What if I told you Glory changed a rule that could change everything? What's up everybody, my name is Kimball, I'm the kickboxing nerd and welcome in a new video. Today we're going to talk about the new rule that Glory is implementing starting from the 1st of January in 2025. I said rule, but I mean rules, because Glory changed not only one rule, but two rules. Of course, there has been a lot of discussion since the start of kickboxing about what rules they should imply, because, kickboxing has been derived from different kinds of sports. For example, boxing, but as well as karate, but also, as many people know, Muay Thai. And Muay Thai is very much known about their excessive clinch work, and that's something a lot of kickboxing fans do not enjoy.
Stand-up fights, real knockout.
Kickboxing is all about high pace, and when you go into a clinch, the pace kind of changes. It's not about continuous striking anymore, and that's what makes kickboxing different. Well, there are many reasons why kickboxing is different from Muay Thai, but I think one of the most, biggest examples is the clinch work. In kickboxing, usually you only get 1 or 2 or maybe 3 seconds to work in the clinch and work yourself out. Otherwise, the referee will separate you. Glory used to implement that rule, but they've changed it up, and what they've done is the following. You know what? I'll read it out for you. In a continued effort to improve the competition for fans and fighters, Glory has implemented and updated several rules that are effective from January 2025. The first event under the new rules will take place at Glory 98 on February 22. The first rule that has been changed, of course, the clinching rule. This rule has changed to permit only one immediate single strike. After the legal strike, the athlete must disengage, declinch immediately, and continue fighting. So as you can see, they really want to differentiate from Muay Thai in that sense, because they want to have constant, non-stop action, only striking with, when you go into the clinch, just break up and continue fighting. That's what they want, because in the past there have been different fights where fighters were clinching up for such a big amount of time that they were, the pace of the fight wasn't as entertaining for people who come to see striking. Fans come to watch kickboxing, not Muay Thai. So when there's excessive clinching, a lot of people start booing, and even the referees, most of the time, they will give out warnings and even point deductions. For example, during Glory 21, I think it was in San Diego, champion Artem Levin, one of the best middleweight fighters that have ever been inside of the Glory ring, he was faced against the challenger, Simon Marcus. He is one of the best guys on the world as well. He used to be a Glory champion as well. Both guys have an extensive background in Muay Thai. There was so much clinching that the fight was very sloppy for a kickboxing fight. Eventually, there was a point deduction, and when the fight went to the scorecards, there was a draw. Eventually, it came to a rematch, and in the rematch, kind of the same thing, happened. But let me put it like this. This wasn't the greatest example of what a kickboxing fight could have been. Same thing has happened in the past before. Even recently, the fight between Bobo Sacco and Dennis Wojcik. Bobo Sacco came off an awesome knockout victory, even a knockout nominee of 2024. But in the second fight, when he went up against Dennis Wojcik, a guy who likes to come up close and fight on the inside and do counter-striking and continue on in that strategy, Bobo Sacco kept on clinching. It made for a very sloppy fight, which has happened many times before. A lot of the times, referees separate, give warnings, separate, give warnings. These things keep on happening, but it seems that Glory is done with this. Glory decided to completely erase the clinch in kickboxing. Well, you can do one single strike. After that, you gotta let go, which means this is not necessarily clinching anymore, in my opinion, but it is what it is. In my opinion, I am more of a kickboxing fan. I like striking. So in my opinion, I do not mind this too much. If I'd like to see some clinch fighting, I definitely go watch Muay Thai. But when I'm watching kickboxing, I want to see striking. I want to see the best of the best compete with each other. Let me put it like this. This is not the first time that the clinch rule has changed in kickboxing. If you remember, if you followed K1 back in the day, and especially K1 Max, then you might remember Buakaw. Buakaw is a fighter who is a legendary kickboxer from Thailand, and he literally changed the game. When he became the K1 World Max Champion in 2004, you know, this guy could clinch you up and beat you down with knee strikes. If you were fighting Buakaw, you know he was going to bully you. You either had to, you know, strike your way out, or he would clinch you up and keep on kneeing. K1 saw this as well, so K1 decided, you know what, this guy is so good. He defeated our top fighter in Masato, our Japanese champion. We gotta do something. We're going to forbid the clinch work. So from that on, you could only clinch and have one single strike and continue on fighting, exactly as what Glory is doing right now. So history is repeating itself, and that's very interesting. So I'm very curious about how this is going to look like. Very interesting, and this rule could change the game. As mentioned, I actually made a video about Buakaw where I talk about this topic, so if you're interested in learning more about this rule and about Buakaw, go check out this video here down in the description. Alright, let's talk about the second rule. There has been a lot of discussions about the criteria in Glory, like how do we judge fights? Of course, when there's a knockout, it's over. If there's a knockdown, you will get an 8 count and a point deduction. And from there on, it's getting a little bit, well, not messy, but sometimes it's kind of hard to, you know, what do they mean with the scoring criteria? For example, you can win on points, which means they're gonna count all these strikes. How many strikes has someone thrown? But they also have this category called damage, which has been the center of discussion for a long time, because what is damage? How can we define damage? I mean, is damage something like what you can see on their body, you know, like a bloody nose or a bruised leg? Or is it maybe someone who is a little bit, you know, walking a little bit with a limp? It's not very much defined, at least it hasn't been. But Glory has made a statement in how they will be scoring this specific criteria. Let me read it out for you. The second rule is called high impact damage. It means an evolution of the scoring criteria includes objective signs of damage, including wobble, staggering, or reduced functionality as a result of a legal strike. High impact damage is prioritized over other damage in the determination of scoring. So what this means is still a little bit kind of vague. What I think this means is that, you know, when you get wobbled or staggered, that will be always prioritized over when you have, for example, a bruised leg or a bloody nose. I think that is what they mean. It's still very vague, but at least they'll try to, you know, a little bit more clear for, you know, fans to follow the sport. But still, it keeps on being very difficult to know what does damage really mean. Sometimes some people, you know, for example, Big Sexy, Nico Horta is a guy who, you know, what you can hit him like 20,000 times on his face and he still doesn't look phased. So does it mean that fighters like, you know, Big Sexy have an advantage over fighters like Rico Verhoeven? Well, you know, last couple of fights he has been wobbled and he has been down, so, you know, he's kind of susceptible for, if he gets hit good, that he, you know, maybe gets staggered a little bit. Even when he is not falling down, you can definitely see that he, you know, is hurt. And with Nico Horta, you don't see that. So does that mean it's an advantage, or, you know, it's a very interesting change. So what is going to mean for the future of Glory? We're gonna see what happens. It's very hard to now see what will happen. It's interesting that they at least try to make it a little bit more clear. So in my opinion, I don't think the discussions between fighters, coaches, and fans will go away anytime soon, because, you know, these things happen. Some people feel like their fan favorite has won, even though he got staggered, or maybe not. You know, if for example, if you have been winning the whole fight and you get one clean hit and wobble a little bit for the last 10 seconds, you know, I don't know what is going to happen, but we'll see. It's a very interesting time to be alive, in the sense, like, you know, kickboxing has been evolving and it's going to evolve again. So I'm very intrigued about what is going to happen. Also, there's something else that noticed me when I was reading the rules, because they talked about the rankings, and that's very interesting. This is something I didn't know before. In the rules, it says Glory has the discretion to determine rankings based on a variety of judging points. If an athlete fights outside of Glory, the result of that fight may be considered in the rankings. That's very interesting. That means when a fighter fights outside of Glory, that fight could still be eligible as part of, you know, grow in the rankings. So for example, Sergey Maslovaev has fought a lot out of Glory. He has fought in KOK in Lithuania, and he has been winning by knockout. So my question is, does, you know, Glory count those fights as part of, you know, growing into the Glory rankings? Before today, I was like, probably not. But now I'm reading this rule and I'm like, well, You know, they're still quite vague about the rankings itself, because how can you grow in these rankings? Because it used to be if you beat someone, you will be getting his spot in the rankings, and you know, you will be above the guy you just defeated. And if someone defeats you, that guy will get your spot and you will get lower down. And it seems like they are now not necessarily doing this again. They're just like, if you win, they give you a spot on the rankings, and if you lose, you could be even dropping from the rankings. It's not very clear what the rules are regarding the rankings. Anyway, we'll see what happens. These were my takes on the rule changes. Personally, I don't mind the change because I am not the biggest fan of clinching in kickboxing. If I want to see clinching, I go watch Muay Thai. Personally, I like the high-paced action in kickboxing. That's what I personally like. But you know, let me know what you guys think. Do you like or do you hate this change in rules? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know what you think about the new definition of high-impact damage. If you want to hear more about my takes, go subscribe to my channel. And also, I made a video where I talk about 2024, the best of. I also did an award show. Go check out that video. I'll put it in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.